Good morning, girls. Children, we are doing chapter gravitation in physics. And in my last week's video, children, I had explained you what is the Newton's law of gravitation. Now, according to the Newton's law of gravitation, it says that every object in the universe attracts every other object, okay, by a force which is directly proportional to the product of the masses. Yes, and is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. Okay, so this is what we have done, and we also did the whole derivation. We derived the formula that F is equal to G m1 m2 upon d square. Now, if I rearrange these quantities and if I write capital G is equal to, I will get Fd square upon m1 m2. Okay, now why I'm explaining you this, that I told you that G is equal to 6.673 into 10 to the power of minus 11 Newton meter square per kg square. So I want to tell you that from where this unit came, Newton meter square per kg square came from here. That means the unit of force is Newton multiplied by d square, that is the distance which is measured in meter square. A distance is measured in meter, and since it is d square, it will be meter square upon kg into kg, and that will give you kg square. So I hope it is clear for you that how we got the unit of capital G, Newton meter square per kg square. Okay, now so this concept is clear to you that every object in the universe attracts every other object by a force directly proportional to the product of the masses, and it is inversely proportional to what? The square of the distance between them. Now I will also tell you one thing, that Newton's third law. What is a Newton's third law of motion? Newton's third law says that to every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. So here this third law we can apply in the law of gravitation. Okay, that means Newton's third law holds good for the law of gravitation. Why? Because we know that if there are two objects A and B separated by a distance d, if A is exerting force on B, okay, so B is also exerting force on A, okay, the only difference what? They are equal in magnitude, yes, and the opposite is they are opposite in direction. Yes, so we can say that an object attracting another object by a force, both the forces are equal in magnitude but they are opposite in direction. So suppose instead of taking any two objects on the earth, if I take this as stone and this as the earth, okay, now you know that stone will attract the earth and earth will attract the stone by the same force, but because they are opposite in direction, do we anytime see earth moving towards the stone? So you will say no. We always see that a stone is falling down towards the surface of the earth, or an apple is falling towards the surface of the earth. Suppose if I drop this pen, then pen will fall towards the surface of the earth. Okay, so Newton's third law can be applied here, that both the objects are exerting force on each other. They are equal in magnitude but they are opposite in direction. But what is that reason? My question is, what is that reason that we always see stone moving towards the earth but not earth moving towards the stone? Although the forces are same. But what is that factor? What is that factor which will explain you that stone is always falling towards the earth, but we never see earth moving towards the apple or earth moving towards the stone? So here the concept is, we all know that F is given by the formula mass into acceleration. Okay, now you know that if I rearrange this and if I want acceleration is equal to, I will write F upon m. Okay, so it means that acceleration is inversely proportional to the mass of the object. Now what is acceleration? Acceleration is change in velocity, or you can say the movement which is produced in the object, that is acceleration. So over here if the mass, when we compare the masses of these two objects, m1 and m2, you will definitely say that Earth has much larger mass as compared to the stone. Okay, so because mass of the stone, I'm talking about stone just now, mass of the stone is very very less as compared to the mass of the earth. Okay, so what happens when the mass is less, acceleration produced in that object will be more, that it will be greater, right? So therefore stone has greater acceleration, yes, because of the less mass. Understood? So that is why, because of the greater acceleration in the stone, we always see stone falling towards the surface of the earth. Why doesn't we see earth moving towards the stone? This is because if we talk about the mass of the earth, which is extremely large as compared to any other object on the earth, so therefore acceleration which is produced in the earth is extremely small. We can also say it is negligible, and therefore we don't see any motion in the earth, or we never see earth moving towards the stone or earth moving towards any other object. Okay, so if a question comes or a question is asked that why do we always see a stone falling towards the surface of the earth, we never see earth moving towards the stone, although both of them apply equal force on each other according to the third law. So the answer will be, you will say that acceleration, we know that acceleration is inversely proportional to mass. If the mass of the object will be very very less, or it is, yeah, comparatively less, acceleration produced will be more, and therefore we will see that object moving. But if the mass of the object is extremely large, we will see um, no acceleration in that object, or we will see negligible acceleration. Negligible means cannot be noticed, and therefore we never see earth moving towards the stone. So I hope this concept is clear to you. Go through my video, listen to my explanation, and you will understand. Even if you want, you can read your book. So therefore, as I said that A is inversely proportional to mass, this concept we will apply that we never see earth moving towards any other object. We always see stone, pen, book, any water bottle, or any other object, because the masses of all the objects on the earth are extremely very less as compared to the mass of the earth. Because their masses are less, the acceleration produced in these objects is large, and therefore we see these objects falling towards the surface of the earth. Okay, so therefore if there is any question given in your book, you can, I think you'll be able to answer this. Now we now come to the next topic, that is free fall. Now what is free fall, or what is a freely falling object? Suppose I leave this pen from a height. If I leave this, it will come down. A feather falling from a height, a stone falling from a height, all these objects fall down towards the surface of the earth because of the presence of the gravity, okay, or because of the presence of the gravitational force. So any object which is falling from a height, okay, under the influence of gravity, that object is called a freely falling object, okay, and this phenomenon is called a free fall. Okay, I repeat, an object falling from a height, an object which is falling from a height under the influence of, now why any object falls down? Suppose I leave this pen, it will fall down. Suppose any feather is lying on the top of the roof, it will fall down. Why do these objects fall down? They all fall down because of the presence of, or under the influence of, the force of gravity. Okay, so as I said that an object which is falling from a height under the influence of the force of gravity is said to be a freely falling object. Yes, and this phenomenon Okay, and this phenomenon is called the free fall. In physics we use the word phenomenon. Otherwise we can say the word process also. But in physics we use the word what? Phenomenon. Okay, so therefore I say that an object falling from a height, and that is the object which is falling under the influence of the force of gravity. That object is said to be a freely falling object, and this phenomenon is called the free fall. So we can give examples of many objects like a stone falling from a height. Suppose a person jumps from a height. So when he tries to jump, he'll fall down, or he'll come down. That is also because of the gravity. Then suppose what you throw this ball up. If you throw a ball up, then it will go to a certain height and that will come down. That is also a freely falling object. Then any object which is falling from a height, that object will be called as a freely falling object. And this phenomenon is called what? This phenomenon is called the free fall. Okay. Now, I hope this definition is clear to you. Now we have to study acceleration due to gravity. In chapter motion, we have studied acceleration, which is given by a symbol A, right? And a vector quantity because it has a specific direction. Now in this chapter gravitation, we are going to study what is acceleration due to gravity. Now you know that acceleration actually means change in velocity of the object. Okay. Now whenever any object, suppose this is the ground, yes, and any object, suppose a stone I take, right? Now this is from a certain height, it is falling down. Now when it is falling down, what happens? This stone experiences the change in its velocity. Okay, and this change in velocity occurs because of the gravity of the earth. Okay, I repeat what I said, that an object which is falling from a height, okay, as it comes down towards the surface of the earth, it keeps on changing its velocity, and because there is a change in the velocity of the object, therefore this object acquires what? Acceleration. Yes, and because there is a change in velocity due to the gravity of the earth, or because of the gravitational force, therefore we call this acceleration as acceleration due to gravity. Okay, I repeat, when an object falls down from a height, what happens? It keeps on changing its velocity. Because this velocity changes due to the force of attraction of the earth or force of gravity of the earth, okay, that is why we call this acceleration as acceleration due to gravity. Now this acceleration due to gravity is denoted by not a but small g. Okay, now this g and that a, they have little difference in them, so we're going to study that afterwards. So I hope it is clear to you that the change in the velocity of the object is acceleration. But if there is a change in the velocity of the object due to the gravitational force of the earth, then that acceleration is called acceleration due to gravity, and that is given by small g. Okay, now, so you can draw this figure and write down the explanation what I have told you, that what is acceleration due to gravity, that the change in velocity which occurs in the object, in the freely falling object, due to the gravitational force of the earth is said to be acceleration due to gravity, which is denoted by small g. Okay, now in this chapter, whenever we are talking about acceleration now, we are not going to write a, but we are going to write small g. Remember this. So what did I say? That acceleration for the chapter gravitation is not the normal acceleration, but it is always acceleration due to gravity. So I will always write small g, I will not write a. If it is required, then I write, otherwise I will talk about, in this whole chapter we will talk about acceleration due to gravity. Now, derivation for the formula. Formula of what? G. Now you all know that, suppose an object is falling down from a height, okay, and let the mass of that object be m. Okay, now since it is falling down on the surface of the earth, we take the mass of the earth as me. Right? What did I say? We consider a body which is falling from a height whose mass is small m. Yes, and me is the mass of the earth on which it is falling down, and the distance from which the object is falling down is given by re. Okay, now you know that, we all know that F is equal to g m1 m2 upon d square. Now when we are applying the force of gravitation in these two objects, which two objects? That object which is falling down and this mass of the earth, I will replace m1 m2 by what? M and me, and distance I will replace it by re. So we will now write, therefore, here m1 is equal to m, m2 is equal to me, and d is equal to re. Okay, so therefore now what? F is equal to g, okay, me upon re square, equation 1. Now you also know that the force acting on the object is also given by the formula F is equal to m into a. But as I told you that in this chapter I am going to write what? M into g. So we know that F is equal to m into g. Now we equate these two. So therefore I get mg is equal to gm me upon re square. Okay, so therefore this m and this m will cancel, and therefore we are left with small g is equal to gme upon re square. Okay, so now you have to remember the formula for small g as capital G into me upon re square. What is me? Me is the mass of the earth. Okay, and re is the radius of the earth. Now why are we taking over here the radius of the earth? Suppose this object is falling from the same height at which I am standing now. Now if I drop this here, the distance from which this object is falling down is extremely negligible as compared to the mass of the earth, or as compared to the complete radius of the earth. Okay, so this distance, because it is a very negligible distance, we just assume that the object which is falling from the height is taken to be the radius of the earth. This you have to remember. Okay, so therefore we will not take d, we will take re. So therefore now what? We now write that small g is equal to g me upon re square. I hope this concept is clear to you, that the distance from which the object falls down on the surface of the earth. Okay, now because the mass of the earth is too big and the radius of the earth is also very large, so this is a very negligible distance. Therefore, instead of taking d, or from the distance from which it falls down is very because extremely small, so we take it as that the object is falling and that distance is equal to the radius of the earth. Okay, now when I read this formula, I now get that g is inversely proportional to re square. Okay, now re, radius of the earth. So now you have to remember some important points about g. that G does not depend on the mass of the falling object. Okay, small g does not depend on the mass of the falling object. G is inversely proportional to the radius of the earth. Now the important points about G I'll discuss in my tomorrow's video. Today you go through all my explanation, read the chapter. If you didn't understand anything, you can ask me. Revise the Newton's law and the questions which I asked in between when I was explaining that why don't we see earth moving towards the apple or earth moving towards the stone. So you will try to write out these answers, and then even if you don't understand anything, you can ask me. Tomorrow I will explain you the important points about G, and then what is actually the value of G, what is a unit of G, and then we'll compare G and A. Okay, so till today you complete all your work, and thank you. Have a good day.